Hi, and welcome to session 3 of the Build Your Own Custom Website course. My name's Dan, and I'm a software engineer and systems analyst with WP Update. Today's session's fairly straightforward. We're going to find out where to source great hero images. Might even sneak a little logo doodad in there. And we're going to set up the homepage of the website. To get started today, all you're going to need is a list of your core products or services. Just a few dot points, 3 to 5 dot points will do the trick, and a bit of patience. One of the more important parts of your branding, of course, is your logo. If you've not built a logo already or haven't engaged a graphic designer, we've used a service called Placeit, which is really, really handy and very affordable. You can access it by going to bit.ly/website-logo-maker. Does give us a small kickback, but we wouldn't recommend it unless it was really, really good. And what that does is allow you to build out your logo. You can try it out for free, make sure you're happy with everything, and then once you've created your logo, you just pay a small fee to download it in high resolution. And once you've got it, you can use it on your website, you can use it on t-shirts, you can use it on business cards, wherever you like. Very, very handy piece of kit. If you are keen to see how it works, there's links in the description below, along with a link to a tutorial where I make the logo for my test site, Error 418, and for another student site, Geek Tea. Take a look. It's only a few minutes long, but it'll take you through the whole process and you can decide whether or not it's for you. The website homepage is arguably the most important part of your website. It's the first thing a visitor often sees, especially if they're coming directly from Google or coming off a business card. And sometimes it's the last thing they see, which obviously is no good to anyone. So there's two parts to a website. You've got above the fold, which is the first bit that someone sees when they land on the page. And you want a couple of things in the section above the fold. You want a strong masthead image, a clearly defined brand or summary of the site, and a call to action, something for the prompts the user to click to take an action that either brings them further into the site, prompts a purchase, grabs sign up to an email account, a MailChimp account or something similar. Once they've got past the above the fold section, we go to the next bit, which is below the fold. So once you've scrolled down, and this is where you can put in some extra information about your company and also fill out the homepage ready for search engines to index. So once you're below the fold, you're looking for short statements, other calls to action, and links to more information. Another massively important aspect of a website is really good images. Now, if you don't have access to a photographer or you don't feel comfortable taking photos yourself, or if you just don't have the equipment, that's fine. There's a great little free service called Unsplash. There's a link in the description below. It's completely free of charge, and that offers royalty-free images that budding photographers and people who enjoy taking photographs just publish for everyone to use. No accreditation required, although they do like it if you can, and no fees involved. So we'll be using Unsplash a fair bit today to drop in some custom photos to our new homepage website. So let's go. Let's start by bringing up the website that we got started on last week. Okay, so here's the site we started the other week. You can see we've still got the homepage there, which we installed the base version of, but it still has the old branding and the old text there. In fact, it's just essentially a lorem ipsum placeholder text. So up to the URL, and we want to go to /wp-login.php. And that'll take us to our login page where we log in using our email address and the password we used to set up the site originally. And we get dropped straight into our dashboard. So let's head to Appearance and then into Customize. Right, that'll just take a few moments to load. Excellent. And what we're going to do is just tweak the logo here. So if we go to WordPress default, and then site identity, and then we'll click change logo. We've loaded that in just by dragging and dropping. We're going to put the alt text to be the name of the company. So that's error 418, and we'll change the title to be the same as well. 418 gold. Okay, and then you'll notice as you tab out, there's that little saved icon up the top. So once that's gone, we can then select that as our logo. Change the cropping, just drag that up. Or in fact, we'll just skip cropping altogether. There we go. And there is our new logo in place. So publish that. And I'm just going to change the main font to the same color as this logo as well. So installed a little color picker here, which is very, very handy. I'll put a link in the description for one of those. There we go. So that is the color of the logos. Go back again, and then might be in color and background. Go global colors, and the theme color in this case we want to be the same as the logo. Change that. Change the link color to be the same. Hover color can be a bit darker, that's fine. And then the text color can all remain in place. We'll publish that, and that should change the logo here as well. Close that. And that is the logo in and the basic customization and colors done. So let's go and edit the home page. So we want to go to Pages, All Pages, find the one that's marked as the front page, and then mouse over it and click the Edit with Elementor link. Okay, so that has loaded now. And we can see there we've got the basics in there. Might jump around a little bit while it's loading. All right, so I'm going to swap the name of the winery for this one here out with an image. So let's start by right-clicking and then delete that element. And then over to the left, and we want to insert an image. So up to the search, type in image, and we can see that right there. We'll drag that in until it is just above the text there. You can see the highlighted area shows where it's going. It can be a little bit fiddly, but we will get there. Okay, so you'll notice now on the left-hand side, we've got the choose image, and we have the few options there as well. So we're going to click on the choose, and that'll bring up the media area, and we'll click on the logo that we uploaded before, and then click Insert Media. All right, now that is a little bit too big, so just over to the left here, and we can move the sizing down a bit. So let's go to Custom, and then I'm going to make that, let's say, 400 wide. That's still a little bit big, so we can just play with this a little bit. I'm going to go with 350 wide there. All right, so I'm quite happy with that as a width. That does look quite nice. We also have the option to tweak a few bits and pieces here. We can add some extra padding if you'd like, or we can add borders. There's all sorts of stuff you can play with here, so I highly recommend having a tinker. But for this exercise, we just need to change that logo out. So hit Update, and that will save the change to the page. And the next thing we're going to do is, we don't have a shop here, so we will right-click the shop now and then delete that. And we won't worry about this product shot for us either, so I will right-click and delete that. Fantastic. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is change our call to action here, or our summary of the site. So you can see I've just clicked inside the text, And that's brought up the window over on the left-hand side here. And we can then get in here and start editing the text. And it will update that in real time for you. So just going to drop in a little tagline that I put in it before. Grab that. Now, this is coming from a Word document. So very, very important to strip any formatting coming from the Word document. We hit the toggle bar there. And then we look for the little T, which is paste as text. Click on that. You get the little blue pop-up. You can dismiss that. And now if you're pulling anything from Google Docs, from Word, or anything that isn't basically a notepad, you can paste that in. And it will strip out any rubbish formatting. So the text here is a little bit lean. So what I'm going to do to try and make that look a little nicer on screen is go to the Advanced tab. Give it a little bit of extra padding on top. So we want to uncheck the link values. And then I'm going to give that about an extra 20 padding. And you can see there that pushes the text down a little bit so that it looks a little nicer against the logo. I'm also going to set that to centered. So that's in style, and then alignment and center. I might just go back to content and put in a little line break after blends there. So the way I've done that is delete, hold the shift button on your keyboard, and then press enter, and that creates what's called a single line break as opposed to a paragraph break. I'll do that here, which adds a little bit of extra gap. Okay, so that is the logo added. That is a more expanded tagline added. Let's start editing different bits on the actual page itself. So we'll scroll down to here and change that from About Winery to about the name of our company. Okay, and if you recall, I discussed in our previous session that you'll need to dot point out a few ideas here. So let's add some of those in. So I dot pointed out a few ideas, so making sure that paste as text is in. There we go. And I've pasted those in. What we want to do is just use these dot points to flesh out a couple of ideas. Okay, so I've just fleshed out those dot points there into something a little more tangible. And I highly recommend as well using something like Grammarly to go through and refine your work. There's a link in the description below. We'll leave the No More button for the moment. We're going to turn that into a button that will take you to the About page in another lesson. All right, so as I was scrolling down, I noticed a horrible typo. So what I've done here is I've shown you that we can type directly into WordPress to make our text, and it's very, very easy. But before I was pasting in from Word. So what I highly recommend is you take your dot points, flesh them out in a word processor like Google Documents, like Word, apply a grammar and spelling checker like Grammarly, for example, and then cut and paste from those documents into here so you don't get the spelling errors, because as you can see, WordPress won't pick them up. So let me change that to baristas. And we can keep going down. All right, so the next thing is a set of images here, which has been custom made. So I'm not going to worry too much about that at this point. And special case, I'm going to flesh out a little bit later. quickly change this to one of the best being the UK. Again, use your dot points and your information, what you put together for homework last week, to flesh this out a bit more. We won't delete the no more. Client review, which is the next thing. So let's change that to what our clients say. Okay, now this is really important. Do not make up client testimonials. Don't do it. Just don't. I can't speak for laws in the US and the UK, but I do know there is a fair trading law and a truthfulness laws in Australia that you need to keep an eye on. Again, not a lawyer, so you will need to check. But in addition to getting yourself into potential legal strife, it's also really, really poor form. It's really poor form. So what I would encourage you to do is, if you already have clients, ask them to write a quick testimonial, or you can write a quick testimonial on their behalf and email it to them and get them to approve it, and then put that in instead. If you don't have any clients, if this is a new business, what I'd encourage you to do is either delete this bit altogether and put it in a little bit later, or change it from a testimonial to another, maybe a highlight grab, or a quick statement on some of the products or the services you offer. So we don't have any clients for this one. So I'm going to change that instead to what our about our beans, and then we'll change that to all right, and that allows you to throw in a little highlight, and then we will change this from the designer's name in this case to mine, and I am the developer, and I'll change out a photo to something a little more suitable later. Right, and the rest of this is more or less the same kind of thing, where we find a spot, we will click in it, and then for the tabs, for example, you can change the information simply by clicking on the tab, changing the name, and then changing the text inside the box here. Finally, your contact details. So we need to add your address if you have a physical premises. If not, and if you don't want to be contacted, simply delete this section as well. Okay, so that is how we change text. Feel free to pause, feel free to go back over this. There's a lot to take in. So keep going over and over the video until you've gone through every little bit of the front page and updated the text. The next thing we're going to do is change out a couple of the images. The next thing we're going to do is change the background masthead here. So this can be a little bit different for each theme, but for this one, what we're going to do is jump on to Unsplash and find something suitable and then swap it out. So open a new tab or a new window and go to unsplash.com, unsplash.com. You can see here we have images ready to go. In our case, what I'm going to be looking for is barista. There we go. I'm looking for something nice and dark to work on, and something that's a bit wide as well. So let's change the orientation to landscape because it has to go across the top here. Oh, I quite like that. So we'll zoom in, have a quick look. That is clearly a very, very fancy coffee setup. Okay, so now what we do is click on the download and then click medium. We want that around about the 1920 by 1280 mark. All right, that has downloaded, so we will save. Now, it says say thanks down here, and you can throw a link on the website if you'd like to, but it's not part of the license. You don't have to. So we're not going to in this case. All right, so that's downloaded. And what we'll do is I'm going to bring that up in a separate window, just on a different screen, duck back over. And now, because this is part of the page behind the scenes, not part of the actual thing, not part of the internal content, we're going to go to the navigator. So the navigator is down the bottom on the left-hand side. It's the second icon in. Click on that one. And that brings up essentially an inspector of all of the page elements. We're going to go all the way to the top and hit section. Okay, so the section one allows us to play with the whole block rather than just the internal content. So on the left-hand side here, I'm going to go to style, and you can see there's the wooden background. We're going to change that image. So I'll hit choose, drag in that image from before, change that to being brewed. These little things help with keywords later on down the track. Copy that, paste it into the alt text as well, and then after the save is gone, hit insert media. Okay, and we can see there that's a bit better. That's a bit more related to what we're doing. And because this is quite light at the top and I'm not a fan of that, I want to darken it right down. We can go to the background overlay. You don't have to do this, but you can. And then we can start playing with some of the settings. So you can see that changing where that gradient runs to. And that can get rid of it altogether. So just going to put that to about there. And dial back the opacity a touch. All right, so that's quite a neat little setup. We'll update again. And there we go. That is the homepage updated. And let's change out another image here as well. So you can see there, that one's been especially custom made. So we'll jump back over to Unsplash, find another coffee setup. And I quite like this one. Shows people enjoying themselves, having fun. It's a great little shot. So this is a smaller image, but I'm still going to grab the medium-sized one. That, again, that's popped up in a different window off screen. We'll click on this one and then change the image. So I'll drag that up. And I'm just dragging and dropping, but you can also hit the upload files button there. Drag and drop is just as easy. And do that, paste, and then insert media. So that'll pop in, and that already looks quite neat. And one more on this side as well. So let's find something that's quite, yeah, that looks quite nice. Download that, medium again. Now you can get something custom made here. I'm just going to try and fill this space up a little bit with the image. So click, pull that in from the other window, drop it in. Making coffee. Do that, paste it into the alt, and then hit insert media. With the navigator there. Okay, so before we finish up with this lesson, there's one more thing I'd like to change. I'm not a massive fan of this font here. Now, this has been set inline in Elementor, so it makes it really, really easy to change. So we've just clicked on the title font there, and then that will land you on your content. We want to go to Style, and then click, if typography has been changed, it will have a little blue pen instead of a little grey pen, so click on that. And then we can change the font family. Now the rest of this site is using Open Sans, so let's just swap it to that. Search. Open Sans, there we go, and that is about the same as everything else. The font size is okay, but I might change the letter spacing a little bit to bring that in and make it a little bit neater rather than being so spaced out. Okay, so once that's complete, we then do the same for each of these titles. Again, only if it's been set in Elementor. A lot of the time it's not. It's just set in the theme. All right, so let's quickly check what minus 2.3. So we'll make all of these the same. Okay. And we just need to keep doing that all the way through until the end. Once we're finished, hit Update, and then we can go back to the dashboard. So that was a little ellipsis. Exit the dashboard. And then if you're presented with this screen, that's no problems. This is just the default editor. We want to click the little W on the left. And that will take you back to Pages. All right, and that brings us just about to the end of the action. So what did we get up to today? Well, we started with looking at a logo builder very briefly, which you can use to assist in create branding. There's a link in the description for that one. We found free stock images, also a link in the description, which allows you to change out the images on your website guilt-free and knowing that you're not pirating anything. We changed out the site logo, changed out the homepage content, or at least some of it, and added and replaced images. Finally, we changed the font styling for the homepage as well. So thank you very much for watching. That's the end of session 3. In the next session, we'll be creating our first ground-up page build. It'll be a secondary page, and it will be the About page for your website. For your homework before the next session, we'll need to write out your story. That is the origin of your business, your skill set, what you aim to achieve with your business, and where you aim to be in a year's time, or what kind of clients you aim to help. We'll then use that to create a brand new page on the site built from the ground up with Elementor, and that will be the first internal page of your site. In the meantime, though, I highly encourage you to go back over this video once or twice and update the remainder of your homepage. So add some extra text in, a few more images as suits, delete anything you don't need, and you'll be in good stead for the next lesson. So thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.